When I was growing up, I had this illusion that if I just found a good job that made a good salary, that would automatically lead me to wealth. That if I could secure a job that would pay me six figures, I would be set for life. Thus, as a good Korean immigrant kid that I was, I studied hard and pushed myself to secure that corner office. And I eventually reached an office. No, it wasn't the corner office, but to me, it was pretty close. It came with the prestigious title of a finance director, tons of perks, plus, most importantly, a nice salary. A really good salary, actually. But when I look back at my time when I was in that well-paying job, I can't really recall feeling wealthy. In actuality, I constantly remember feeling not enough. Not enough income, not enough left over at the end of the month, not enough compared to my professional peers. Now, why was this? It was because at the time, I had fallen into what I like to call the six-figure illusion. I had achieved the income I thought would make me feel rich, but I had completely missed the actual path to wealth. Because here's what nobody tells you about making good money. Income and wealth are two completely different things. Our salary, despite how high it may be, is not our wealth. Our salary is a part of building our wealth, but it is just one piece of the formula. The real wealth formula is actually this. Earnings minus what you spend equals your savings. Then that savings, multiplied by investment returns and time, equals your net worth. The higher your net worth, the wealthier you are. The lower your net worth, not so much. See how earnings, your income, is only one part of the formula? But I didn't understand this formula when I was just starting out in my career. I simply thought that if I had a good job that allowed me to make good money and buy nice things, I was on my path to becoming wealthy. But I was completely wrong. What I had was the appearance of wealth, not actual wealth. I had confused looking rich with being rich. And this confusion is very common, especially among high earners. You see, when you make good money, it becomes easier to afford the monthly payments on nice things. A luxury car lease, a bigger apartment, designer clothes, expensive dinners. All these become affordable on a monthly cash flow basis. But here's the trap. These purchases do not build wealth. In fact, they actively destroy it. And research bears this out. There's actually a term for people caught in this exact trap. Henrys. High earners, not rich yet. These people are making serious money, but not building serious wealth. And the statistics are eye-opening. According to recent surveys, around 44 to 48% of people earning over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. Even among those earning over $200,000 a year, more than one-third report living paycheck to paycheck. That is shocking. These six-figure earners have little to no financial cushion despite their impressive salaries. The brutal truth is this. You can earn $300,000 a year and be living paycheck to paycheck, or you can earn $50,000 a year and be steadily building millionaire-level wealth. It all comes down to understanding the difference between earning money and keeping money. But here's the thing. If you're watching this video and thinking, wait, this sounds a lot like me. I make good money, but I'm not building wealth the way I should be. You're probably wondering, what should I do next? Should you focus on paying off debt first? Beef up your emergency fund? Or completely overhaul your investment strategy? Well, if you feel stuck or caught in analysis paralysis, I'm here to help. I want to share with you the next financial move quiz. In just a few quick questions, this quiz will analyze your current financial situation and tell you exactly where you should focus your energy next. No more feeling stuck, no more guessing, no more analysis paralysis. Just a clear, personalized action plan. The truth is there is no one-size-fits-all answer to what your next financial move should be. Your path depends entirely on where you're right now and what your biggest opportunity for growth actually is. Are you a high earner who needs to focus on expense control? Or someone who's already mastered spending but need to optimize their investment strategy? This quiz will tell you exactly that. And the best part is completely free. Just my small gift to you for taking your precious time to watch my videos. So don't wait. Go to the link in the video description below, take the quiz, and receive your free next financial move plan. Now, speaking of high earners who know they should be building more wealth but feel stuck, let me share with you exactly why so many smart, successful professionals find themselves trapped in what I call the high earner Hamster-Wheel trap. A trap that I've seen myself and tons of other high earning professionals constantly fall into. A trap that keeps these high earners stuck in the hamster wheel of making really good money, but not being able to build real, sustainable wealth. The first factor that keeps high income professionals in the hamster wheel trap, the justification mindset. Essentially, justifying their high lifestyle expense because they worked hard and deserve it. I saw this constantly with my business school buddies who landed very high paying jobs in banking, tech, and consulting. After years of grinding through business school, internships, and then the first few years with 80-hour weeks, there's this voice in their heads that said, I've earned this. I deserve to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And you know what? They did work hard. They sacrificed their 20s and 30s. They earned those prestigious degrees. They survive the brutal hours and the intense competition. So when they see that luxury watch, that high-end car, or that beautiful apartment in Manhattan or San Francisco, their brains create these perfectly logical justifications. Take software engineers at big tech companies. They'll say, I'm making $300,000 a year because I'm solving complex problems and working with cutting-edge technology. I deserve the Tesla and the expensive apartment near Silicon Valley. It's just the cost of living in this environment. Doctors have even more compelling justification. I spent 4 years in medical school and then 4 years in residency making $50,000 a year while working 100-hour weeks. I literally saved lives. I've earned the right to drive a luxury car and live in a nice house. Senior corporate executives justify their spending by saying, I'm responsible for millions in revenue and hundreds of employees. Private club membership is not a luxury, it's networking. The expensive suits are not vanity, they're essential for board meetings. However, this justification mindset is dangerous. Every justified expense is money that is not building wealth. And the more they deserve these things based on their hard work and high income, the less likely they are to achieve true financial independence. The cruel irony is that the harder they work to get to this income level, the more entitled they feel to spend it. But entitlement and wealth building are often mutually exclusive. The same discipline that got them to the high-paying jobs needs to be applied to keeping and investing that money. But the justification mindset convinces them that they've already done the hard work and now it's time to enjoy that reward. But what gets worse is that it doesn't just stop there. That high expensive lifestyle many of these high income professionals get comfortable with, they can't help themselves but keep wanting more, which leads to the next factor. The second factor that keeps these high income professionals in the hamster wheel trap, the lifestyle inflation creep. No, it's not just enough to live out that high-end lifestyle that these high-income professionals initially justified. No, we're never completely satisfied. We need more, especially as we make more. We get that $50,000 salary bump, and soon we find ourselves upgrading our car, going on a fancier vacation, or moving into a nicer apartment. Why does this happen? It's because we experience what behavior economists call hedonic adaptation. We quickly adapt to positive changes in our circumstances, and what once felt luxurious becomes ordinary. The $2,800 a month apartment you were once excited about now feels okay. The car that felt amazing 6 months ago now seems fine, but not great. The restaurant that used to feel like grand luxury now just feels like any other ordinary restaurant. Thus, I see the following patterns constantly with my business school classmates. They'll start out as an associate, making around $175,000 right out of business school, living in a nice one-bedroom apartment. By project leader at $250,000, they needed a 2-bedroom in a better building. As a senior manager or director at $300,000 or more, they deserved a luxury building with all the amenities. Each step felt reasonable, but their net worth barely budged despite their income nearly doubling. In my perspective, the most dangerous part is that lifestyle inflation is not just about bigger expenses. It's about recalibrating your entire sense of normal. Research shows that as income rises, spending tends to increase almost in lockstep, driven by changing expectations and a constantly shifting baseline for what feels necessary. What started as justified reward gradually becomes the new standard. But there's got to be another reason why we push this expectation, this desire for a fancier lifestyle besides our own brain, right? I mean, it doesn't just come out of nowhere, which leads to the next factor. The third factor that keeps these high-income professionals in the hamster wheel trap, the social environment trigger. And this one I consider one of the most dangerous because it is the invisible hand that works constantly behind the scene, ever so slightly, but very powerfully. Let me give you a personal example. Currently, I'm filming this video from Bali, Indonesia. After having lived in Southern California for many years, my family and I are fulfilling our lifelong dream of living overseas, especially while the kids are still wanting to hang out with us. Now, when I was in California, given that there are fancy cars everywhere, I would constantly catch myself thinking about upgrading our car. And this would happen not because we actually wanted a new car, but because I was constantly being reminded by my social environment. When I stepped out of my house to take out the trash, I'll be faced with my next door neighbor's new Tesla or a BMW parked in the driveway across the street. At school pickup lines, I see luxury SUVs everywhere. Even at the grocery store parking lot, I would subconsciously notice what everyone else was driving. But here's the fascinating part. Since moving to Bali, where the social environment is completely different, where most people ride scooters and the cars on the road are modest, practical vehicles, I haven't thought about upgrading our car even once. Not once. The desire completely disappeared because the environmental trigger was gone. This is the power of social environment, and it works against most high-income professionals very strongly. Because many high-income professionals live in pretty nice, affluent neighborhoods, they subconsciously absorb the spending patterns of their expensive surroundings. And the cruel irony? Most of these people you're unconsciously trying to keep up with are trapped in the exact same hamster wheel. They're spending everything they make to maintain the appearance of success, creating this collective illusion where everyone seems more financially secure than they actually are. Alright, so if many high earners are struggling with building wealth due to the factors that we discussed so far, does that mean we're all doomed to a similar fate? Never being able to build lasting wealth? No, of course not. Because if you learn anything so far in the video from all these high income earners, is the fact that when it comes to building wealth, income is only one part of the formula. What is just as important, or actually I say more important, is how much you keep and what you do with what you keep. Which leads us to the next section, where I want to talk to you about people who have low income, yet high net worth, exactly because they understood this formula. Let me share with you one of my favorite examples of someone who made low income, yet was able to achieve high net worth status. Actually much higher than many of the high income professionals that we just covered so far. Introducing Ronald Reed. Ronald Reed worked as a janitor at JCPenney and pumped gas at a local station in rural Vermont. He never made more than $20,000 per year in his entire life. When neighbors saw him, they saw an ordinary working man who drove an old truck, wore second-hand clothes, and lived in a modest house. But when Ronald Reed died in 2014 at age 92, he shocked everyone. He left behind a fortune of $8.3 million. You read that right. He had an income of $20,000, yet Ronald was able to amass a net worth of $8.3 million. Now, how was he able to do this? Accumulate more wealth than most doctors, lawyers, and executives ever will? Here's the secret. Ronald Reed genuinely understood the wealth formula. Despite having a low income, he understood that if he maintained his lifestyle at a minimum, he could still save a good amount. Thus, he lived quite frugally. So much so that some of his friends said if Ronald earned $50, he would save $40. Then what did he do with the savings? He invested that money. During his lunch break, Ronald would teach himself everything about investing in compound interest. And he waited. He practiced patience. Instead of trying to pick winning stocks or time the market, when he invested in quality companies, he held them until the day he died, reinvesting every dividend for decades in the process. So what is the lesson here? How is someone who is making only $20,000 a year able to become almost a decamillionaire, whereas someone who is making $500,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck? They were able to do this because of what they focused on. Their net worth, not their income, which I want to delve into deeper next. Let's understand the key characteristic difference between those that focus on high income versus high net worth. High earners focus primarily on income maximization, putting their entire energy towards climbing the corporate ladder, getting the next promotion, and negotiating higher salaries. They operate under the belief that wealth comes from earning more money. Additionally, their financial decisions are driven by monthly cash flow thinking. They ask, can I afford a monthly payment rather than considering the total cost? An $80,000 car feels affordable because it's only $1,200 per month. They optimize for what it can afford today, ignoring what it is costing them tomorrow. And worse, as their salary grows, their lifestyle automatically expands to match, creating a sense of entitlement to upgrade their standard of living proportional to income increases. This leads to short-term gratification thinking where they feel they worked hard and deserve to enjoy it now, often saying, I'll save more when I make more. But that day will never come because expenses always rise with income. Now in contrast, high net worth individuals focus on wealth accumulation, caring about one number above all else: net worth. They understand that wealth is asset minus liabilities and are laser focused on growing that gap. When making purchasing decisions, they think about the total cost of ownership, asking, what does this really cost me over my lifetime? That $80,000 car is not $1,200 per month to them. It is $80,000 that could have grown to $400,000 over 20 years if invested at 8% returns. Thus, instead of buying things that depreciate, they prioritize asset acquisition over consumption, purchasing real estate, stocks, and businesses, assets that work for them while they sleep. Alright, so we talked a lot about why many high-income earners struggle to build sustainable wealth, the true formula to building lasting wealth. But what you're probably asking is, then what? How can I implement what we talked about so far into my own life? So let's get into that next. Let's talk about the path forward, especially if you find yourself in a position where you feel like you're making good income, but you're stuck on a hamster wheel of high earner trap. One is to calculate your net worth number. Yes, your income is nice, but as we talked about so far, what is more important is building wealth, getting you off that hamster wheel. And the first thing we need to do before tackling the problem is to get brutally honest about where you stand. So calculate your true net worth, assets minus liabilities. 2 is to get over yourself. I know, it sounds harsh, but we sometimes need a bit of rude awakening. If you're a hardworking professional, it is easy to get into a mindset that we deserve certain luxury. I mean, we work hard, we make good money. But understand that this mindset that you deserve these things because of your income or your education or long hours is exactly what keeps you trapped in the hamster wheel. 3, automate as much as possible. Set up automatic transfers to move money to investments before you even see it in your checking account. This removes the justification mindset from the equation. You can't spend money you never see. 4, focus on assets, not lifestyle. Every financial decision should pass this test. Does this purchase build my net worth or destroy it? A $20,000 splurge destroys net worth. $20,000 in an index fund builds it. And 5, if you're really struggling to make progress, change your environment. Your environment shapes your spending more than your willpower ever will. If you're constantly surrounded by luxury cars and expensive restaurants, you'll subconsciously drift towards that spending level. So choose friends and activities based on shared values, not status competition. Find communities that celebrate net worth building, not income flaunting. Thank you guys for watching the theme of high net worth. If you want to learn how rich people think differently about money, please check out my video here. Until next time, all the best.